Hi everyone, my name is Antonia and we are taking another look at Stranded Alien Dawn today, but this time it's going to be an actual playthrough of the Sobrius region using the seed Proof Rest. I have chosen the seed after a short introductory playthrough just to see that I was able to acquire 2 extra characters within the first 2 weeks, and I thought that that might be a great way to start off a playthrough series. So we're gonna go ahead and dive in. First things first, we're gonna click new game, and then we're gonna go over here to Sobrius, leave that, the moon, Jason, meet Triumph with Disaster, Nyx, which is It's Always Darkest Before the Dawn. And then we have New Chaos Moon, which is what matters most is how well you walk through the fire. Everything will return to chaos. I'm not sure. Let's go with Nyx. How about that? And hopefully changing the moon isn't going to change our ability to acquire those extra characters right off the bat. Change our seed to Proof, tap Rest, and we're going to go ahead and confirm that and choose our party. So I have seen a lot of recommendations online for what the best combination is for your survivors. Is this grouping right here. We have Emmeline for cooking, Ken for his scrap metal collection and for his combat capability, Krista for research, and then we have Chad here, who is really great at building. He's a master builder. He does have permanently decreased happiness. I am going to switch this up a little bit. I know this is debatably the golden team, the A team, but I have a little strategy of my own. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap in Vivian for Emmeline, and hear me out. I know that you cannot replace the Master Chef and expect the same results. I hear that. We're not gonna get the same results for Vivian. I'm not counting on the same results when it comes to the cooking and the happiness boost that we do receive from Emmeline. However, she does have an interest in cooking, and we're starting off at skill level 2 in cooking. She also has interest in crafting and a trait for crafting that gives her a 4-time work speed in crafting with fabrics and leathers, which I think are going to be really, really critical when it comes time to creating clothing that is going to keep them alive in the dead of winter or in the heat wave of summer. We're gonna get a little bit more bland cooking, but we're gonna be able to keep people appropriately dressed for the season. At least that is my hope for this playthrough. Of course, we also were leaning on Emmeline for farming, so we're gonna have to swap that task over to Vivian as well. And she does start off with a level 1 farming, so it's not terrible. And let's see whether or not this pays off. Another thing I realized about this is that you can zoom in and zoom out on the Crash landing screen. I didn't know that before, maybe you guys did, but to me this is news. I thought that was pretty cool. One of the first things that everyone keeps letting me know from my first video about seeds, there is another factor to take into consideration when you're looking for just the right seed, and that is your breakthrough technologies. And for this seed, our breakthrough technologies are sleep training, printed components, balloon optimization, improved railgun snipers, as well as carbon armor. The main one for me here is going to be balloon optimization. I want to hurry up and get this balloon in the air as quickly as possible so that we can get those other survivors over here to our camp, to where we're going to set up our fort. And the rest I'm not quite as keen on, but I think that having so-so breakthroughs in exchange for more survivors is a swap that I'm willing to make personally. And if anybody else agrees with that, then they may think or find that this seed is the right seed for them. So first things first, I always like to zoom out and up and locate that gun, because we do start off with 1 laser pistol in medium mode. I'm gonna give that to Ken. So let's go ahead and start Ken off with this pistol. He's gonna equip it. And then I'm going to go ahead and set us up to scavenge this transport. I'm also gonna go ahead and select some things for us to research and observe while we are getting it started, starting with, of course, the melons, because those are so key to being able to feed our people, especially when they run out of rations, which they inevitably will. Taking a look around here, I know I haven't really given you the grand tour or the 360 look at this seed. Right off the bat, one of my favorite things about this seed that I've discovered in the short amount of time that I've played it is that all of these resources are just a few steps away. I'm not going to be hoofing it from one side of the map to the other to find anything that I need, and that's going to save me a lot of time. I'm also literally crashed right up on the bank of the one body of water that I have in the immediate area, and that is something that I personally like to be close to. I know that the water itself is not terribly necessary. It's not like we have to have the water for survival in the game. It's purely aesthetic, at least for right now, unless the developers create more of a dependency on the water for our survival, which they may, I don't know. But for my own peace of mind, just knowing as human beings we need water for survival, I like to stay close to water in game. I like to imagine that they have what they need there, even though they don't need it. Right up here on the shore, we have, some beef berries right here. So we're gonna do a little research for that because that's really good for cooking and eating. And then these giant grasses are great for hay as well, so we're going to research that a little bit. I'm going to want to build a shelter here in a moment, so I will be setting that up, but just real quick, let's take a look around here. We have plenty of interesting rocks to study, lots for mining. Over here we have some more berry plants, and over this way, just few more steps around the pond, we do have some grain cobs, so I'm going to go ahead and add that to our research queue. And then these as well. These are, let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see this. This is going to be our cotton blossom plant. And I'm going to go ahead and scoop up a lot of these stones while we're here, since we have this right next door for mining. Our heptagonias as well, I mean, just for our sweet syrups and, creating some extra tasty things to eat. I didn't even know these were back here. We're gonna go ahead and observe our cotton blossom here, since it's way closer. They won't have to walk nearly as far. Same thing with the grain cobs. Turn around and look, we find resources even closer than I thought they initially were. So yeah, that's gonna be really, really great, super handy. Same thing here with the skin barks, so much closer than on the other side of the pond. And as for the pond itself, I don't want to knock down all these trees because I like the way they look. I don't want to create this really barren puddle where it just looks kind of gross and swampy. I like the tree cover, but what we do have in here is 43 fallen trees that nobody's gonna miss. So we're gonna go ahead and cut that for our timber. Can't say the same for the bushes. I know we are gonna need some bushes for sticks so we can set up our fire pit. So I'm gonna go ahead and, sacrifice these ones right here by the crash zone. All right, let's go ahead and unpause. I think I've given everybody enough to do so they can go ahead and get started on that. And I'm gonna go ahead and rotate this around. Ooh. Wow. I forgot that those still had to fall. And yes, I hope nobody died. It looks like nobody died, that's good. And I'm gonna take this nice patch of land right here to set up camp. Let's go ahead and start with, let's see, sticks. We're gonna need hay. Let's go ahead and cut down some of these to get hay. We now have the material we need to set up camp, so let's go ahead and do that. We will start with this one and rotate it around and put it there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, and we're gonna make this 2 deep so that I'm able to add resources here, as well as a place for them to sleep. I think that that's kind of important. And speaking of places to sleep, kind of gonna need to set that up. Let's go back into the little camp menu, grab some sleeping spots, and we're gonna need 4 of these. And since I'm so confident that we're gonna get those extra characters as long as we get our balloon optimization set up ahead of time, I'm gonna go ahead and drop some extra sleeping cots right here. But we also need some stockpiles for our storage, so I'm gonna add those. I'm gonna go in here and build some shelves as well. I have a game plan, folks, and I'm gonna lean right into it and not look back, I guess. Or maybe we'll look back and realize there were better ways that I could have done this. But for right now, as far as just our initial camp setup goes, this is how I'm going to lean into it. And this is this is the way that we're gonna do it for now. Really, the important thing is to get a roof over our heads, a place to sleep, and a campfire set up by nightfall, and we will have already won our first day. Speaking of campfires, I think we can go ahead and set one up now. So let's go ahead and add our scrap metal campfire right here. One thing I do want to do is look at the Manage tab and go ahead and pop in here to schedule and set up a schedule so we can establish a routine that will hopefully keep our characters happy and healthy to the best of our ability, despite, you know, other things that might happen during the day that will affect their ability to stay happy and healthy. I know that it's pretty grueling just looking at how much pink is on there for the work menu. I'm asking a lot of these characters right off the bat. They're gonna spend the majority of their day working with just a few spots to relax and then a little break there at 1 o'clock or 1300 for them to grab lunch. We can change this later on, but for right now, I do want to kind of push them a little harder just to get us established and secure, creating a really safe camp for our people to survive. I don't want to lose anybody before we even get to winter. That would be pretty miserable if we did. Meanwhile, we already have a lot of assets that are just not being hauled to the stockpiles, and I think that means we're gonna need to go back in here to management again. But let's look at our activity list. For our characters, we are still in simple priorities, and I'm kind of okay with that right now because I just want to like carve down some specific tasks for specific characters, and we can do that in this format and then number them later. Let's start with Krista because I know exactly what I want Krista to be doing, and it's none of these things. We're gonna take all of that off of here because the only thing we want Krista doing is researching and observing. Everything else someone else can handle. I think that it's super important for us to advance that we have her constantly churning away at that research desk, which reminds me I still have to build one. We don't have one yet. Vivian, we picked her up to replace Emmeline, which means we really need her to be harvesting, planting. She's gonna do all the farming and cooking, but we're also going to have her doing crafting, tailoring, and assembling because that was what she brought special to the table. None of these are going to be used until further into gameplay, so I think for right now it's okay to leave this many checked boxes for Vivian because a lot of these she's not gonna have access to for some time anyway. Chad, we specifically want him to be doing construction, so I'm gonna leave that as his very first check mark. Cutting, not scavenging, mining, not cooking, crafting, tailoring, or assembling. He can do a little observing. We're not gonna put him on research, and we're not gonna put him on delivery. I really want him to focus on construction, mining, and cutting because we're gonna need those resources to build. For Ken, Ken is our healer, so I'm gonna leave healing for him. I'm gonna take him off handling for now. Hunting can stay, cutting can stay, scavenging is his bread and butter, that's number one. Mining is fine, we're gonna remove all of these. And delivery is fine. I'm gonna flip these simple priorities over to our numbered priorities, and with what's left, we can start giving most important to least important on their list. For example, Ken's most important is scavenging and healing if somebody's injured, but this won't activate unless somebody is. Chad, I'm gonna make cutting number 2. I'm gonna have these guys cutting and mining priorities kind of swapped, because I think that will help distribute the labor a little bit more evenly. We won't end up with a ton of wood and no rocks, or vice versa. Knock on wood, that's the plan, that's the goal. Construction is, of course, his number 1 priority though. Next is Vivian. I'm going to make cooking her number 1 priority. Then it's gonna be harvesting at number 2, planting is number 3, and for the time being, we are gonna shift these down to 4s. Okay. Let's see whether or not this helps us stay efficient or not. And you know, we can always come in and tinker with it later. Nightfall and no fire set up. That's not at all what I had in mind. So let's see what we're missing here. Sticks. We're gonna need some more sticks. Let's cut these. And friend, if you could please do us the honor of cutting some sticks. We really wanna get this fire going because sometimes, if you're really, really lucky, you get a camp set up and a fire burning on the first night. You may just get a walk-in where another survivor sees this campfire smoke and they walk to your camp. You don't have to go hunt for them, they come find you. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. We're gonna take a look at kind of the setup. This is my primitive camp setup. stockpiles on these ends, and I do like to adjust my restrictions for my stockpiles so that we're really only stockpiling construction materials, because there's so much room on these shelves for everything else that's much smaller that it seems kind of wasteful to use stockpiles for anything but construction material, because we know that if we run out of space, these construction materials are too large to go on these shelves, so it really does put us in a difficult position. This way, everything else can go on here except for construction material, which isn't even an option, and those will go into these. We still need 5 sticks. How come we don't have sticks? Let's cut some sticks. Vivian friend, please do me a favor and go cut those sticks. And once she's done with that, I will have her bring that over here and construct our campfire. Or go back to sleep and completely ignore me, that's fine. He's got a lot of rest, so I'll have him get up and do the honors. Vivian was just like, absolutely not. And I'm gonna change this to Vivian, because there's no roof over her head here. Why is she sleeping here specifically? Let's leave these 2 menus up, because I do like to have quick access to my characters. I can just double click on these and it'll take me to where they are. But also my resource toolbar up here, so I can kind of see how much of everything that I have. I don't really like to leave the resource amounts toggled on, and the reason why is because you end up with a lot of text on your screen hovering over these, and I really just don't, I think that's a little redundant, so I turn it off because I could find out the same thing just by hovering over my top toolbar up here. We don't really want this stuff left out in the elements where it's raining and everything, or baking in the sun, because they won't last as long. Getting them under a roof is kind of a big deal. It helps preserve them a little bit longer, and then of course, long game is to get them stored inside of a fridge or a freezer so that they'll last pretty much indefinitely at that point. I do want to give her a research desk, so let's go ahead and come into production here. No, it's in science. We're gonna go into science, grab ourselves a research desk, rotate that sucker around and drop it right here. I think that'll be nice. And a cause for celebration. We did it. So we put together a camp as quickly as we could considering the circumstances, and we are not sleeping in the dirt. We have a roof over our heads and a fire to illuminate the dark on the uncertain nights. Most important, we have survived. To us, this feels like an achievement worth honoring. We can gather around the campfire and celebrate being alive at 1900 tonight. Great idea, let's do it. If they actually do all gather around the fire, then they'll end up getting a really nice happiness buff. I know, like in my very first playthrough when I was doing this, that was interrupted by our very first Scarabee attack, and we were just run over by these massive bugs, and everybody was super horrified and traumatized. They survived. We are getting a thunderstorm already, and that reminds me, I really, really, really want lightning rods, so we're gonna research some lightning rods. That's kind of critical, because if your characters get struck by lightning in this game, it can leave some really permanent nerve damage, and their movement speed just goes way down. It's just not something that you want, especially this early in the game. I would really just prefer to avoid any injury if possible, so we're gonna research and build a lightning rod as fast as humanly possible. What do we need for the balloon? We gotta find liquid fuel and metal alloys. So let's go ahead and work on metal refinement next, and then weaponsmithing. And we have ourselves some lightning rods. Let's dive right in, and I'm gonna put this, I think, let's do, here seems good. Let's build this here. He's out mining, like way out in the storm where I don't want him to be. Let's try to keep everybody close to camp and get this lightning rod up so that hopefully they'll all be safe. Will that cover where she's just, no, her researching this here is not covered, so I'm gonna bring her in a little bit closer. That's scary, but just got struck by lightning. The research desk. Okay, at least it wasn't a person. Whew. That can be repaired. It's gonna be fine. Where is Vivian? Transporting logs. okay. How about we try to have her repair this, and that way we're bringing her in closer to camp and hopefully keeping her out of harm's way. He went back to mining, not ideal. Let's have him, sure, this one, cut this. And let's bring him in to do that. Is that even, no, the only one that is would be like this one. So we're gonna have him cut this and, oh, it doesn't matter. The storm is over. That's good. Did you tell I was panicking? No, I was totally cool the whole time. Cool, calm, collect, not panicking. I was totally panicking, but it's okay, because look, nobody got struck by lightning on day 2 of gameplay. So let's go ahead and toggle our menus for a moment so we can enjoy this beautiful moment where our characters get to campfire sit and enjoy a little bit of a party. So that's fun. Wait, somebody's still missing though. Who's not here? What is she doing? We're gonna draft her and then undraft her so she'll come do this. There we go. Yay! Campfire sitting! I like how he's just like, huzzah! Yes, huzzah! We are alive. We have made it. Look at that sky. Remarkable. Everybody is alive. Everybody is well. Nobody is electrocuted. We're gonna just sit here and tell some campfire stories and try to ignore the fact that this back end of this is not built yet. There we go. We have some dancing. Oh, and a shooting star. Lovely. Just positively beautiful. Play music here. Cue music. It is party time. Oh, lovely. Okay, so it looks like everybody's got their buffs. We will toggle these back on. And I'll even toggle myself back on. We are back. They had their beautiful moments, and now sleeping and stuff. Oh, you know what? We also have a lot of logs, and again, I don't want to like cut down the few remaining bushes here, so I think the way to go really is to put one of these in, and that way we can turn some of these logs into sticks so that we have fuel for the fire, for example. Really hoping that we're gonna have someone walking in soon, because I feel like we've met the requirements and the seed has given me a walk-in before, so I'm still hoping that that's gonna happen. What do we have back here? Have we researched these? Not enough yet. So Krista's probably gonna go to the research table. No, she's observing. I'd rather have Krista here, and then we can have others pick up the observations as needed. But right now, long distance travel. Yeah, see? Find or produce metal alloys. That's what we're working on. That's our goal we're working toward. And in the meantime, I guess I should start thinking about defenses, because we are taking a chance here by not setting up any defenses so far. I think an interesting way to do this would actually be to create like a pen, you know, like maybe not try to enclose everything in, but just create a little pen for them to go into so that they can fight off animal attacks from behind a wall. Like maybe we're not protecting like all of our like contents, like all of this will still be out in the open, but I have a feeling that at least in the beginning, the animal attacks are going to be coming for us. Might be making too much of an assumption there, but it's the risk I'm willing to take on day 3. Okay, there we go. So now we have buttermelon, which is huge because being able to harvest this gives us something to eat other than rations. And that said, I'm gonna go ahead and harvest these now so that we can go ahead and set up our cooking queue for Vivian. So recipe, veggie soup until we have 4 characters. So I'm gonna set it up so that we have 4 soups at all times. Just so that there's always something to eat, and then when we get below 4, she should be prompted to go in and create some more. So that's kind of like the plan. And we've already gained a couple of items in our farming category, so we might be able to come through here and farm later. But honestly, there's so many like wild grown resources in our vicinity that I don't really see the need to start planting. I think that that's just not the best use of our time right now. We've researched metal refinement. Let's go into production, grab that furnace, because that was the goal all along. I'm gonna rotate this around a bit, because I feel like we could set this, we can, right here. I'm so sorry, I know he wants to sleep. Really, really want that balloon. So I'm gonna have him set up our furnace so that we can start smelting alloys and metals. So this is now set up. I'm going to have us smelt from scrap, and we're gonna make it 100. And then hopefully this will be, let's have Ken do it before he starts scavenging again, because I know that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna run over and start scavenging, and there he has. I'm going to go ahead and close these for a moment just so I can get a fun screenshot, because I kind of like this shot. But I am gonna grab this and put that out here. Oh, right, and for anybody who doesn't know, this is a drying rack, so we'll be able to dry on this raw meats to get like dried meats like jerkies and stuff. We have the option to dry out hides and create leather, and then something called smoke leaf. We'll be able to dry out these raw smoke leaves so that they're kind of, I don't know, dried like potpourri. And those are really great for like relieving pain. You can put them in teas, you can smoke them in a pipe, and they're like pain relievers, right? So that's another thing that we can observe, study, and then farm later if we wanted to. No queued research. Let's go ahead and queue something. Let's queue, well, I want to queue the balloon as soon as we have, there it is. I just saw it pop up, so now we have, there we go, long distance travel! Pickling, electricity, spaceship deconstruction, and, oh, construction basics, actually. Let's start with that, and then we'll lean into these two. So that's my cue for our research for right now. That's what Krista's going to be working on for the next couple of days. And meal-wise, how many do we have? We do have 4 veggie soups, so we are at cap, which means there's plenty for people to eat. Hopefully they'll eat those instead of eating the emergency rations. Sometimes they still eat the emergency rations rather than the like fresh food that could spoil. It's a little frustrating, but that reminds me, you can technically control it by coming in here to their restrictions, and you can turn off emergency rations. I prefer not to do this because if they're ever like out of cooked meals and they're hungry, you know, they always have the option to like dive in here, grab these until they're gone. But one thing I do like to turn off kind of immediately is raw food. I turn on specifically the berries once we've harvested the berries, but right now what I want to do is save vegetables for cooking, and I definitely don't want them eating raw foods when it comes to eating raw meats, because if you look at the insect meat, once you've killed like the scarabees or any kind of like aggressive animal that attacks you, they'll harvest the meat. You don't want them eating that raw. I think there's like a 20% chance of illness if they do, so I definitely want to keep that unchecked. And then the raw mushrooms, the glowing ones, they also have like a high percentage of getting your survivors sick, so I don't like to let them eat that raw either. I will only turn it back on specifically for fruit berries, because I don't mind them eating those raw, because we could get such an abundance of them. But for everything else, I just prefer to keep raw food turned off. This is how I play. I'm actually really interested in hearing in the comment section like what you guys do differently, if you have like different strategies or techniques that you like to employ in this game that have really helped with your productivity or efficiency or your character's ability to like level up, or like proficiencies that you're aware of that you want to pass on. I definitely would love to have that conversation, so don't forget to leave a comment down below and let us know a little bit about your playthrough experiences and your gameplay and discoveries that you've made. I am a little bit shocked that we're on day 4 now and we haven't had a walk-in yet, but I still have hope. And I'm gonna bring Ken over here to harvest these berries, because like I said before, these ones we can get in abundance and it's fine for them to eat these raw. So, oh, he failed though. He failed to harvest that. And Vivian's cooking, Krista is studying. Let's try again, Ken. You can do it. I believe in you. I believe in you, Ken. You can harvest this berry. You may not have that farming skill. You may not have that green thumb, but you can harvest this berry. I mean, he's giving it his best. He's trying. There we go. We've second time's the charm, I guess. He's acquired 30 berry, which now we can come in here to restrictions, raw foods, fruits, and we're going to just enable bush fruit berries. And we're going to copy this restriction and paste it over to our other characters. So now they have the option to eat berries if they really just don't want to eat Vivian's cooking for any reason. Quick meal 8 on foot -6. I kind of forgot that they like to have a nice table to sit at, and I think it's okay to go ahead and build one. So we're gonna go ahead and build one. Let's rotate it. Yeah, we'll build it here. I'm gonna go ahead and put out 6 seats because again, I'm so hopeful that we're gonna get those extra characters. Hopefully we won't be disappointed. We've researched long distance travel. Well, what am I waiting for? We should have a hot air balloon out here. Hello. Let's go ahead and set ourselves up. That's done. We're gonna put it right there. Okay, so production. We have ourselves some fermentation barrels now. That's really good. I'm gonna make it out of scrap metal and I'm gonna stick it right here. Start fermenting our vegetables to create pickled vegetables, which would be good. So we now have pickling researched, great. Scavenging materials, awesome. What is next on our list exactly? Construction basics, and we're cracking at that. That's amazing. I'm gonna add balloon optimization here, then electronics, and we'll put spaceship deconstruction back on the list, and while we're at it, why not add winemaking? I'm gonna want wood fortifications pretty soon as well. Yeah, we'll add that to the list shortly. Crystal she's gonna chug away. We're gonna get there in no time, so it's not really something we need to worry about just now. Heptagonia. So this produces a sweet syrup which can be harvested and used for cooking. I wouldn't say no to drinking it raw either. It seems to be safe. Alright, so we'll be able to start harvesting that, and depending on Vivian's cooking skill level, we might even, maybe once she's boosted it a little bit higher than 2, start cooking with the sweet syrup as well to create some extra fun and tasty meals. We do have our first attack coming up. So they're just like giant beetles. And they're relatively easy to kill individually, but because they always move in herds, they can do some serious damage if you're caught without a barrier between you and them. That's why we have ourselves a little like a really miniaturized version of a fort here. Like we have our tiny little playpen almost, because here we go, animal attack time. We're gonna make sure we pull everybody into here. I know they're sleeping, they're gonna hate this. Waking up this way is not how anybody wants to wake up, but we're doing it. So let's go ahead and hit play. Everybody's gonna charge out there. We're gonna have ourselves this attack, and since we're gonna go into attack mode, I'm gonna turn my camera off and just see how this plays out. They're just like in the pond, it's so creepy. But here they come. Alright, so she should be able to attack that, I feel like. That's insane. They're not responding the way I thought they would respond. What is happening here? She should be able to attack this. That's not what I thought would happen, like at all. Why isn't he shooting them? Oh boy. Alright, so this did not go at all how I thought it would go. It's kind of crazy. That was nuts! That did not happen, or that did not work the way I thought it would work at all. grab Ken and have him shoot this. There we go. Man, that was not ideal. All right, well, I guess we learned that the playpen doesn't work. That's nifty. Ken is gonna have to heal himself now, unfortunately for Ken, because he is also the doctor. Do not do what I did because it is futile. This was useless. I do not know why this was useless because I've never had an issue fighting these things past the wall before if I put the wall like around any kind of like other structure or utility. Like, it's always worked before. But for some reason they just would not fight over this wall. That was kind of crazy. Alright, I do feel like we absolutely do not need to like, we don't need to keep that at this point. That was a bust. So we can just take that down. Alright, that's cool. We gained construction basics. That's good. That's gonna lead us into the next big thing, which is great. We're gonna start setting up our actual camp, like the actual fort. I kind of like to name, my settlements, even if they are meant to be temporary and endgame is to get everybody back off of planet right now. I like to name them. Like the previous one I had, I named it 3 Pond City because I built in the middle of 3 ponds, like had like this triangulation going on. So I'm gonna have to figure out at some point what to name this settlement. We're gonna need some kind of like something fort or something town or like just some kind of geographical nomenclature, some kind of name. Because I like to think of it like, what if we didn't leave planet, right? Like what if we were just settling here and what if we were to establish like a colony and we're gonna need to name it at some point, right? And then we're gonna have other colonies that might have established trade or travel. I know that's like way outside the scope of the current gameplay that we have right now, but in my head, I like to pretend that like it could evolve into that at some point. So I'm very keen on naming my settlements is what I'm saying. We can start butchering those. We're not gonna eat them. So we're talking about raw insect meat. You see this like symbol right here that I'm circling? Those can be kind of dicey when it comes to having your settlers eat that, your survivors eat that. So I tend to save it for like fuel fermenting and things like that rather than adding it to like any of our meat stews or meat soups and things. What we do for a screenshot. Alright, I think that's good. I'll come back on screen for a moment and we're gonna take another look at what we got going on here. I feel like we can observe this over here. Another survivor! Here we go! Yes! This is what we were waiting for! And it's day 7, folks. Day 7, the second survivor shows up. We have Jack Davies. My escape pod crashed badly and everyone else died. I fended on my own as best I could, but my rations ran out rather quickly. I started to lose hope. I walked in the wild for days after seeing smoke from this direction. Please let me stay with you. And of course, yes, we will. I'm gonna leave hunting, even though he has like a really high combat skill at 7, I'm gonna leave hunting strictly for Ken because Ken actually gets a happiness buff from seeing things die, as morbid as that is. So I just think it's better if Ken does the hunting because then he'll walk away happier. Scavenging, no, same thing with Ken. He has a bonus for scavenging. I would rather have him do all of it, even if it takes longer, than to have somebody else do it and walk away with fewer resources because of the fact. He can be a 5 on these because he has an interest in it and I know it'll make him happy. Like he'll get a happiness buff for doing some crafting. Observing is fine. Research, not really necessary. And delivery, so we're gonna make delivery a 2 priority. So I think actually I'm gonna make these 1s. He just became our guy for handling and delivery. So hopefully now we won't have an issue with things not getting put away. So I believe if we make it 1 more week, we will get our 6th character.
2 days later.
Yes, and we'll get back to the gameplay because we are on day 9. And there is our signal rocket, folks. I was hoping we would see this. Day 9 signal rocket. Yes. All right, so signal rocket rises into the sky. It must be another survivor needing help. We are definitely going to go there. So I'm gonna grab this. So we're gonna send Krista. She has her pike. And I think she's gonna bring us back a person. Oh, right, and then you always, I did just save. You always wanna save before you send somebody up in a balloon, because if you get like something that, like a signal rocket, something that definitely seems like there should be another survivor involved, if you don't bring them back on the first try, you could always like go back to your previous save and try again with a different character and see if they have better results. And there she goes. We're gonna watch Krista take off and hopefully bring back our 6th survivor. My fingers are crossed, and we'll see what she comes back with. These are the goals. All right, and then let's go to the research desk and take a look. We need refrigerator would be great. Diesel fuel will be even better because we'll actually be able to power. So we'll add that, we'll add a refrigerator, and we're gonna need electronics as well. We can't have all these things at once. I'm gonna have to wait to add more to the list. Vivian is idling. Why would she do that? Why would she idle? Here we go. She can help out with this. We have an insufficient stone though, so we need to do some more mining. That's what it's telling me. And there is plenty of mining opportunity right here. So we're gonna grab these 33 chunks of rock and mine those, add them to our queue. Thunderstorm, oh no. Lightning strikes, hopefully nobody's mining right now. They aren't, so everybody should be close to camp, except for Krista. I don't know if they can get struck by lightning when they're up in the balloon. Hopefully not. Hopefully she doesn't. That would be pretty pitiful if she did. Be horrifying, really. I don't know that she'd ever want to go back. As the balloon descends, I saw a little ways off a person desperately fighting a huge bug-like creature. This is why I made sure she had a weapon before I sent her. We're gonna help them fight the beast. She does have low combat, but she does have a weapon. I rushed to help, but it was too late. The creature overpowered the unarmed survivor and dragged his lifeless body away. Oh no. Okay. I'm gonna have to do that thing we talked about where we reset, right? So let's escape. Go back to right before we sent up the balloon. We get the signal rocket, right? Right here. Yes, we accept the signal rocket. And then we're gonna have to send somebody else, maybe? Somebody who can fight better, maybe? Let's see what happens if we send Ken. I'm too late. A mangled body lies twisted on the ground not far from the crash site. It looks like they got attacked by something. Alright, so we're gonna do this one more time. Oh my goodness, they're making it really hard for me to get that 6th character, but I'm determined. We're gonna do it. We're gonna get that 6th character. And here's the thunderstorm that I was worried about electrocuting somebody in the balloon. So it's like live, die, repeat. We're just repeating this same half of a day over and over again, but hoping for different results, which I suppose is the definition of insanity. There we go. Lights for every room once we do have electricity set up. Wow, that lightning is kind of crazy. Expedition complete, let's see. Knock on wood. Too late, no. All right, well, we're gonna try it again. Back up. Oh, do we try this again? of them. Alright, the wound descends. Say a waited person desperately help them. Please let it work. Oh, victory! Oh my gosh, I do this so many times, but it worked. It worked. The resetting works. Okay, so victory. Seeing both of us come at it with all we've got, the creature was wise enough to back off and scuttle in the bushes. So we gained Rita. Rita has joined our camp. Good job. Now back, both of you. Yes. Oh, I must have run that scenario 10 times before it finally worked, but it finally worked. Now we know we can get, and we're on day 10, so before the first 2 weeks, you can in fact get all 6 characters. Well, not all 6, like there's like, you know, a max of 8, but you can in fact get 6 characters total within the first 2 weeks using this seed, and I'm so glad it finally worked. I am thrilled and I cannot wait to put Rita to work, and I think having 6 people is really gonna help us. We're gonna be able to really maximize our productivity and hopefully be super efficient and build sort of the best settlement that we can now that we have 2 sets of extra hands. So glad this worked. I really recommend this seed. I know that it doesn't have the breakthrough technologies that maybe you would want, but having 6 people makes a huge difference. I think that getting this far was certainly a great achievement in the first video of the playthrough series, and we will see where we can take it from here in the next video, especially as we head into hot season of summer. You can see that right up here on the season tracker. We have this very long summer ahead of us that we're gonna get into, and we need to get prepared for like the heat waves. We need to start tailoring seasonal clothing. We need to set up electronics so that we can get some AC going and all that stuff, all that good stuff, as well as additional defenses, because I think with the more we've built, the more difficult the attacks are going to become. Now that we have 6 survivors, the trick is keeping them alive. Thank you for watching this video, for getting this far into the playthrough. I hope it was super entertaining for you and maybe even a little insightful. If you have any questions, suggestions, or recommendations, leave those down below in the comments. Please remember to like this video by giving it a thumbs up and subscribe so that I can see you next time. That's everything. Bye! They haven't even landed yet this whole time, and the balloon hasn't come back down. This is taking so long. I almost feel like it's not gonna happen. Why is it not there yet? Oh my gosh. It's crazy. Crazy. Something and something and something. Crazy for crying and crazy for trying. Crazy for love.